The water exploded without warning. A dark, thick shape broke the river's smooth skin, sending birds screaming into the air. The silverback gorilla froze, every muscle tight, his deep eyes fixed on the sudden movement. The jungle, which had been breathing slowly just moments before, fell into a sharp, frightening silence. Something was wrong, very wrong, only minutes earlier. The forest had been calm. Morning mist floated like pale smoke between towering fig trees, wrapping the rainforest in soft light. Sunbeams slipped through the leaves and warmed the damped ground. In this quiet hour, the silverback sat near the riverbank, his massive body still, his presence steady. Behind him, his small family fed and rested, trusting him without question. This was his role: to watch, to listen, to feel danger before it arrived. He did not need sound to warn him. The jungle spoke in other ways. Across the river, a man moved slowly through the undergrowth. His steps were careful, his hands gentle as he pushed aside hanging vines. He did not rush. He did not challenge the forest. His clothes were dark and worn, blending with the shadows. To him, this was just another crossing, another quiet moment inside the vast green world. He did not see the silverback watching. He did not notice how the birds had gone silent. The gorilla did a strange ripple spread across the water, wide and slow like the river was breathing in. The silverback's head lifted, his nostrils flared as a sharp, unfamiliar smell reached him, cold, wet, and heavy. One by one the small signs added up. Fish vanished beneath the surface. Insects stopped buzzing. Even the wind seemed to pause. The gorilla rose to his feet. He stepped closer to the river, placing himself between the water and his family. His dark fur brushed against leaves still wet with mist. His eyes never left the surface. This was not fear. It was focus. A deep knowing passed through him, older than thought, older than memory. The river was hiding something alive. The man knelt near the bank, dipping his hand into the water. The surface felt cooler than expected. He frowned slightly, sensing the same unease but not understanding it. He leaned forward, unaware that the jungle had already chosen this moment to change everything. The ripple returned stronger. This time the silverback's chest tightened. His fingers curled into the soil. Every instinct screamed at him to act, though nothing had shown itself yet. He let out a low warning breath, barely a sound but full of meaning. The forest seemed to listen. Then the water moved again, closer to the man now. The gorilla locked his gaze on the river, unblinking. Whatever lived beneath the surface was no longer passing through. It was waiting, and in that suspended moment between calm and chaos, the jungle held its breath, as if even it feared what was about to rise. The scream never fully escaped his throat. Water burst upward as the anaconda struck, its thick body rising like a living rope pulled from the river's depths. In one fast movement, the snake wrapped around the man's legs and waist, squeezing tighter with each breath he tried to take. The river splashed wildly, soaking the bank and shaking the air with sharp, violent sounds. Leaves tore from branches. The man's hands clawed at the mud as panic flooded his chest. Only moments before, the river had looked harmless. The silverback gorilla had sensed the danger long before it showed itself. Now he stood frozen for a single heartbeat, watching the jungle break its own quiet rules. The man was being pulled sideways, closer to the water, his body twisting as the anaconda tightened its coils. The snake moved with calm strength, ancient and patient, driven by hunger and instinct alone. The gorilla felt something shift inside him. This was not anger. It was not fear. It was the same force that made him stand guard through the night, that kept his family safe while they slept. The balance of the forest had been torn open, and something helpless was caught inside it. The silverback's chest filled with air as he stepped forward, placing himself between the river and his family without looking back. The man gasped, his movements growing weaker. Each squeeze stole more breath from him. The snake's skin glistened dark and wet, its body tightening slowly, carefully, as if it had all the time in the world. Then the gorilla charged. His massive feet hit the ground with heavy force, shaking the earth beneath fallen leaves. He beat his chest once, a deep sound rolling through the trees like thunder. Birds scattered. His roar followed, loud and commanding, cutting through the chaos and crashing into the riverbank. It was a warning, not just to the snake but to the forest itself. The anaconda paused from the gorilla's eyes. The snake was not evil. It was powerful, dangerous, necessary. But right now, it was wrong. The silverback reached the edge of the water and slammed his fists into the ground, sending mud and droplets into the air. He moved closer than instinct ever told him to, placing himself within striking distance of crushing coils and sharp teeth. The snake tightened once more, then shifted its head toward the gorilla. Time slowed. The man lay trapped, barely moving. The jungle fell into a tense stillness, as if every creature was watching the same moment. The silverback locked eyes with the serpent and stood tall, his body steady, his voice gone silent. This was not a fight. It was a challenge of will. With a sudden, powerful motion, the gorilla lunged forward and struck the water hard beside the snake's body. The splash exploded upward, breaking the snake's focus. The anaconda recoiled, loosening its grip just enough to slide backward into the river's shadows. The man collapsed onto the bank, gasping for air. The gorilla did not chase. He stood there, breathing deeply, watching the dark water until it stilled again. Slowly, the forest began to breathe once more. Mist drifted back through the trees. Somewhere, a bird sang dot, and in the quiet that followed, the jungle seemed to remember itself. The man lay on the riverbank, chest rising and falling in short, painful breaths. Mud covered his clothes. Water dripped from his arms and face, sliding back into the soil, as if the jungle itself was pulling the moment away. For a few seconds, no one moved. The air felt heavy, warm, and strangely quiet after all the chaos. The river began to smooth again, where the Anaconda had been. There was now only dark water and slow-moving ripples. The snake had slipped back into the depths, its long body vanishing without sound, returning to the hidden world below the surface. It did not look back. It did not need to. The jungle had made its decision. The silverback gorilla stood between the river and the man. He did not roar. He did not beat his chest again. His massive body was still, steady like a living wall. Sunlight touched the silver of his back, turning his fur soft and bright for a moment. His eyes remained fixed on the water, watching, listening, making sure the danger was truly gone. This was not victory. It was duty. Behind him, his family stayed close together. A young gorilla pressed against its mother's side, peeking around her leg. She rested a hand on the ground. But ready. They trusted the silverback completely. They always had. The man slowly pushed himself onto his elbows. His body shook, not from pain alone, but from shock. When he lifted his head, his eyes met the gorilla's for the first time. There was no anger there, no threat, just a deep, steady calm. For a brief moment, neither moved. The jungle held its breath again, not in fear this time, but in respect. The gorilla turned slightly, placing himself sideways now, no longer blocking the man, but still guarding the river. Satisfied, he took one slow step back, then another. Each movement was careful, controlled, as if he did not want to disturb the fragile peace that had returned. The man lowered his head in a quiet, natural way, not a bow, not a gesture taught by anyone, just a simple response to something greater than himself. He stayed where he was, knowing better than to move too fast. The silverback reached the edge of the trees and stopped. He glanced back once more, his dark eyes checking the water, the man, the silence. Only when he was certain did he turn away. His family followed, disappearing into the green shadows where leaves whispered softly and light broke into small pieces. The forest slowly came back to life. Insects buzzed again. A bird called from high above. The river continued its steady flow, carrying the memory of what had happened beneath its surface. The man remained seated for a long time, letting his breath return, feeling the warmth of the sun and the earth beneath his hands. Nothing had been spoken. Nothing needed to be done. In the heart of the wild, where survival rules all, a line had been crossed and gently redrawn. Fear had met compassion. Power had chosen restraint. And in that quiet space between species, the jungle reminded the world that its greatest lessons are often taught without words.